Part 9. Sex is a letdown. At the centre of modern attitudes to relationships lies an ambitious threefold hope: to have a great sex life, to have it with someone we love, and to maintain it for as long as we live. These hopes are not new. Throughout the ages, people have wanted to have great sex, but they have wanted to love a special person, and they have been interested in the long term. What is distinctive and deeply problematic is the contemporary idea that we should and could secure all three ingredients at the same time. This is the distinctive ambition and pain-inducing folly of romantic love. Previous generations were wiser in assuming that only two of the three options could ever coexist. We could, for example, have great sex with someone we loved, only in the short term, perhaps over a few weeks in the summer of our 18th year. Or we would find a partner with whom to have regular great sex over the long term, but this wasn't expected to be a person that we fell in love with. The European and East Asian aristocracies had a subtle understanding of the legitimate role of the lover, the concubine, the mistress, and the gigolo. Or we could find someone we loved and could marry, but it was clear that, after the children were born, sex would stop almost entirely. In other words, the pre-romantic view starkly, but in the end kindly, asked us to choose which of the three varieties of suffering we might prefer. 1. An intense loving but brief sexual relationship. 2. Long-term sex without real love. 3. Cozy long-term love but without great sex. In our own age, the sense of incompatibility between sex and long-term love is a discovery that for most couples is accompanied by acute shame, loneliness, and a sense of blame and responsibility. There are a host of entirely forgivable and inelucidable reasons why love and sex simply won't be an ongoing option. Despite the romantic narrative, spousal values, the things that make a relationship loving, are in multiple ways fatally at odds with erotic values, the things that make sex fantastic. In daily life with relationships, we have to stand our ground. We soon realize that we can't let the other person walk all over us. We must stand firm during bargaining over how money is spent, or how the holidays should unfold, who should pick up the children, or what colour the sofa should be. Satisfactory sex, on the other hand, requires a mindset of surrender and vulnerability. We may need to tell the partner a fantasy that exposes us acutely, or ask them to do things to us, or with us, that could open us to ridicule. There may be small resentments and aggressions within the relationship that render us unwilling to grant the partner the pleasure they seek. Or we might feel that the decadence and debauchery of good sex runs counter to the demands of childcare. Sex can seem impossibly selfish when others need it so much. Furthermore, and more peculiarly, we all first learnt about love in childhood from people we were resolutely not meant to have sex with. Deep in our minds, being loved and being sexual may have grown fundamentally opposed. As children, without us quite understanding, we felt it was exciting to see our parents in the bathroom, cuddle into their bed or stroke their hair, but it was equally important that any sexual implication be rigorously suppressed by these parents. They had to signal that these intense things were emphatically asexual, that love did not imply an erotic component. At this crucial stage of development, we learnt a necessary lesson that can have painful consequences in adult life, that sex and love are enemies, that those whom we love and those with whom we can have uninhibited sex need to be different. The more we grow tender towards our adult lovers, the more we re-engage some of the feelings of loyalty and coziness we knew in childhood, and the more implausible sex with them can seem. No wonder if, after a while, most couples find it easier to imagine and have vivid sex with someone other than the person they face every day over the breakfast table. At this point, some will argue the case for open relationships. Polyamory certainly sounds a mature solution to many of the tensions at stake. Perhaps sex and love really can be thought of as radically distinct entities with an almost accidental and unimportant connection. A fling, or a series of them, might go alongside a central, loving, long-term relationship. Yet this comfortingly wise philosophy forgets how nice it is when something is fully ours, and how worrying it is when we cannot make any claim on the person we have learned to trust. As children, we probably never liked letting others use our toys, although borrowing those of others was always nice. A disavowed possessive streak runs deep in most of us. It remains extremely challenging when, at an orgy, our partner gives us a wink as they disappear into a softly lit bedroom with two strangers. Hearing the one we love orgasm at the hands of another is a complex experience. Given the drawbacks, we may seek to reassure ourselves that lifelong loyalty must be a decent enough answer. When things become stale, we can buy scented candles for the bedroom and book weekend breaks in country hotels, but this rosy picture presents an equally, though differently, sentimental and sanitized story. It is deluded to suppose that by sleeping with only one person we won't be missing out on some of life's greatest and most important pleasures. We may, as loyal partners, be spared jealousy and fears of abandonment, but we will also, quite a lot of the time, rightfully feel wistful and suffocated. Ultimately, there is no answer, if by answer we mean a pain-free solution. We cannot have love, great sex, and a long-term arrangement. There is only one answer of sorts, and it can be called the melancholy position, because it confronts the tear-stained truth that in certain key areas of human existence there are simply no good solutions. Our sex lives never allow us to escape sadness altogether. They merely force us to make peace with one of its more bearable kinds.